Welcome back to our latest explainer. Today, we're plunging straight into a seriously grim, dark parable of cosmic philosophy. But the catch is, it's violently taking physical form. We're looking at a dense, fascinating piece called The Architecture of High Time. Imagine what actually happens when pure abstract thought, philosophy, and the very grammar of reality, what we'd call philology, literally force their way into the physical world. It's this wild story of translation, but we're not talking about moving from one language to another. No, we're talking about a metaphysical void translating into tangible stone and dirt. Let's get right into it.
Okay, let's start with this incredible image. High time pressed closer against the residual aura with the weight of an approaching tide. Just picture that for a second, a metaphysical gravity pressing up against reality like a suffocating approaching tide. It's not water, right? It's pure conceptual pressure. It's almost like a dark, intrusive thought that suddenly gains the literal physical weight of an ocean wave. You immediately get this intense feeling of inevitability, something huge, something completely outside ordinary physical laws. It's just bearing down on the very boundaries of existence.
The metaphysical pulse begins.
So, to really grasp the stakes of this fable, we have to talk about true negation. Now, this isn't just, the absence of something. It's an active, mythical force of cancellation. In our story, true negation is acting as the very grammar of a dark star that sits above an unseen crown. And when this dark star flares in silent acknowledgement, it is literally authorizing the emergence of what the text calls a living error straight into physical space. Negation itself is writing the rules for this terrifying new reality.
Gravity's unseen central axis. Inside the tower, our protagonist, Sir Brain, is hanging out in an inverted cell, and all of a sudden, a low, continuous pulse starts vibrating through these black metal walls. Now, this isn't a heartbeat. It's the visceral, physical symptom of a philosophical concept forcing its way into physical space. It's like the mythical architecture is responding as if it had been waiting its entire existence for this exact, terrifying pressure to finally arrive.
And then the gravity inside the tower starts shifting in this really terrifying sequence. First off, it shifts by a strictly measurable degree. Then it violently pulls every residual ratio inward. And finally, you get this total convergence upon a single unseen axis. Imagine the actual math of the tower, its precise 6x4 proportions, beginning to physically breathe and pulse under the strain. Abstract geometry is actively collapsing in on itself, turning into a heavy, localized physical force.
Sir Brain's calculated surprise. Now, what's super interesting here is the stark duality in Sir Brain's mind. On one hand, he is operating with absolute clinical precision. He's actively filing new ratios, measuring gravitational signatures released to Alara, and keeping his open ledger totally updated with data from the honest guest. But on the other hand, he is registering genuine internal shock. You see, every prior calculation had treated the tower purely as a metaphysical threshold. He never predicted that this abstract error would actually take physical root and become a visible instrument. But the craziest part is, his surprise doesn't stop his work. It just adds another unverified variable to his open ledger, which he completely refuses to close.
Translation into physical reality.
Let's track the tower's uncanny journey, minute by minute, because it happens fast. It starts in purely metaphysical space. Then, that first pulse hits, forcing Sir Brain to steady the compromised armor and bank the dual flame low. Next, the boundary physically thins between the inverted cell and the forest floor. And then, the arrival, the exact moment the tower's lower stones actually interpenetrate the dual-grown soil. That threshold has been violently, permanently crossed.
So, the living error he's been carrying now stands at the precise point where the abyss and the accelerated garden occupy the exact same coordinates. High time isn't just approaching anymore, it is fully here. And the expected direction of this dark apotheosis has taken a major turn that the residual will simply did not author. Basically, two entirely conflicting realities have been smashed together into a single, impossible point in space.
The Geneva Manifestation.
And you really need to notice the violent environmental reaction taking place here. The natural world is aggressively rejecting this physical intrusion, which lands right in the outer margins of a hidden forest near Geneva. Dual-grown trees physically lean away from the anomaly. Violet springs start to brighten and dim in these chaotic, irregular sequences. Even the concealment field of the honest pulse is stretched to its absolute limit, thinning out around this massive, terrifying new structure made of cancelled light and mythical stone. Literally, nature itself is buckling under the weight of it.
The very vocabulary of existence has been violently rewritten. Think about that.
physical Geneva has just acquired a structure that, up until now, had only ever existed under the dark star. The outer forest is being forced to host an architecture that carries true negation right out into the open air. That barrier between the philosophical void and the waking world, it's completely shattered.
Awaiting the clockwork sovereign.
0. Inside that pulsing geometry, Sir Brain is standing ready. He's maintaining his continuity for the external cartographer, bracing himself for whatever denser conjugation is coming down the pipeline. He is waiting on a latent coordinate that the tower just made immediate, the arrival of the clockwork sovereign of absolute zero. This sovereign currently holds the underground fortress of perfected stillness, and the collision course is officially set.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final, pretty provocative thought. We've just watched a metaphysical concept rip straight through into physical reality near Geneva, dragging an active, living error along with it. Sir Brain is standing there, ready, with his open ledger. But what exactly happens when the unstoppable force of this translating residual will collides head-on with the perfected stillness of absolute zero? It's a dark, fascinating parable, isn't it? It leaves us questioning the very fabric of reality, and honestly the heavy weight of our own abstract thoughts. Thanks so much for exploring this dark architecture with me today. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you in our next explainer.